Today, House Republican leaders are unveiling the top 100 broken promises of the new Democrat majority here in the United States Congress. Last November, the Democrats said that this would be the most honest, ethical, and open Congress in history. Well, that was then. 6 months into the 110th Congress, Democrats have broken that promise and a lot of others. Republicans want to work with Democrats to deal with the issues that the American people sent us here to deal with. Unfortunately, the Democrats have decided to go their own way. Their broken promises have led to little in the way of accomplishments. On the other hand, Republicans are continuing our effort to earn back our majority. We've forced the Democrats to adopt earmark reforms and to bring the transparency and accountability to that process that it deserves. We've crafted a plan to balance a budget over the next 5 years without raising taxes. We've provided our troops the resources they need to succeed in their efforts in Afghanistan and in Iraq. We've worked to secure our borders and to enforce our immigration laws. And the sum total of that is that we're united in returning to the core principles that bring us together as Republicans here in the House of Representatives. And with that, I'd like to introduce my colleague, the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Blunt.
Thank you, Mr. Boehner. On energy, I think our friends on the other side just had a news conference. I believe the topic was to try to explain their energy policy. It would seem to me that the more appropriate topic would be to try to explain their lack of an energy policy. Democrats a year ago were saying that they were going to do whatever was necessary to have gasoline cheaper at the gas pumps and to solve America's energy problems. Neither of those things are happening. And in fact, on the energy policy, which is more and more a conglomeration of things thrown together by 10 different committees, we've had committees trying to produce energy bills that have never in the history of the committee had an energy bill before. And believe me, when those come together, they're not going to make sense to the American people, and they're not even going to make sense to the Democrats who are hoping that that's their salvation. The Blue Dogs yesterday said that they don't want to be bound by the energy policies of the rest of the Democrats. They want to be bound by their energy policies. So far, the energy bills that the Democrats have put forward produce no energy. In fact, so far, the energy bills that the Democrats have put forward produce a reduction in energy. It's an interesting no energy policy. As Americans get into the driving season this year, as we begin to look at a future where Americans want energy independence instead of energy dependence, they're going to begin to ask the question, where's the energy? The where's the beef question here is a question that doesn't have an answer on the other side. We need to be moving toward energy independence, not toward energy dependence. We've got a working group and a task force both. They're going to put out an alternative that talks about the policies that are beginning to make sense for the American people that we put in place in the last Congress and the efforts of this Congress to repeal those policies. And our conference chairman on energy and other issues is an important leader, Mr. Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. Whip. You know, a year ago, the Democrats had a lot of bold talk about what they would do if they were given the opportunity to govern. And what we have seen in the last 6 months is nothing but empty rhetoric. There's no more glaring example of that than in the issue of fiscal responsibility. The Democrats have tried to shortchange our troops, but they have also attempted to essentially be cute and two-step their way through the budget process through the use of these reserve funds. And in the process of being cute, they have shortchanged rural America on foreign policy. They have shortchanged the consumers on their energy policy. They have shortchanged people in need on their S-chip policy by creating these slush funds that are nothing more than IOUs. And they will be unable to move any substantive reform without fixing their budget two-step that they've tried to pull over on the American people. We are committed to rebuilding our brand on fiscal responsibility by holding down federal spending. The American family doesn't have the luxury of creating a reserve fund with nothing in it, and nor should the federal government. And throughout the summer, you will continue to hear us talk about, work toward, and reform the system where the government spends less money, and they do that in a more open and transparent way. And to talk more about that and other issues is our Vice Chair, Ms. Granger.
Thank you. The Democrats said that we didn't do enough to keep our homeland secure. And they said when we come in, we're going to implement all the 9/11 Commission suggestions. They didn't do that. Furthermore, they took programs like the automatic targeting system for passengers, which was cited in the 9/11 Commission report as a very successful program to keep criminals and terrorists out of this country, and they did not support that. We all know how much we depend on intelligence, and they took intelligence resources and transferred those resources to global warming research. I guess most important, they said they'd support our troops in harm's way and then withheld funds just to do that. You know, President Lincoln said you could fool some of the people all the time and all the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. That's when we've got our 100 top broken promises.
Transparency was one of the buzzwords that the Democrats ran on last time. They were going to make government and government spending transparent. Nancy Pelosi, when the new majority was first elected, announced that in her opinion that they ought to get rid of all earmarks. So everything would have to be transparent. And then we started out into this session of Congress, and the first thing they did was they told us that they didn't like earmarks, but they gave us a bill that was supposed to be funding our troops with $24 billion worth of earmarks in it. Then they gave us a supplemental which had a signature that said there are no earmarks contained in this bill. Not a supplemental. They gave us the continuing resolution with no earmarks contained therein, but there were earmarks in there, clearly earmarks in there. And then lastly, the big fight we had 2 weeks ago. We were told that the way we would see the earmarks first was after they were dropped into the conference committee, and just please vote for this appropriations bill, and yes, there's money set aside, and we'll tell you later how we're going to spend it. And that's what the real fight was about. The real fight was about, you're asking us to vote for something that we can't see. You promised us transparency, put these earmarks in the bill. And 19 hours of hard work of the Republican Party, and we got sunshine shining on those earmarks, and when we vote tonight, we will be able to see those earmarks. They ought to really be thinking hard about what they call transparency.